But the thing is, as like a functional blade to actually use, this is fantastic. Feels really nice. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Screen Tested. Today we are back with another battle ready blade. This one here is the Witcher Silver Sword, at least a very, very close replica. Now, as far as I understand, when it actually comes to the lore of the Witcher Silver Sword, it's not actually a silver sword. It is a steel cord or, steel blade with a very heavy plating of silver that is used obviously for specific monsters that are allergic to the silver, right? At least that's as far as I understand. Now this one here, I shouldn't have to mention this, has no silver on it, especially with the prices of silver being what they are at time of recording. Also for functionality reasons, this is just purely a battle ready spring steel blade. All right, let's talk about specifications here. This one comes in at around about $410, a little bit more pricey than some of the other blades that we've looked at. However, the context there is the fit and finish of this particular hilt, the crossguard pommel, and the blade itself is higher than a lot of those other blades. So I think the price is reflective of the finishing that you are getting, especially for this sort of price range, I would say. In terms of the handle, it is incredibly tightly wrapped. The stitching is good. The riser has no sharp burrs. Same with the crossguard and the pommel. All of it is finished well. Now this is definitely worth mentioning because if you go back and you look at some of those other blades in those episodes, there are some small gripes with, maybe sharp burrs or transitions between this or that. This one here doesn't have any of those issues, at least that I have felt or seen so far. And when it comes to the blade, I think that it is finished quite well. It's quite light and nimble in the hand. This blade comes in at around the 1.4 to 1.5 kilo range, so 3 point something pounds. It has about a 91 centimeter long blade, so it's pretty good in terms of its fit, finish, its length, and its weight, which means that when we get out there and start swinging it around, it should be functional and it should be a treat. So with that out of the way, if you want to pick one of these up, there will be a link in the description and down below. Let's get out there and let's start testing it. So this here is obviously our Witcher Silver Sword, or at least I think it's a very, very heavy inspiration, right? I guess it's pretty close. All right, so my experience with the Witcher franchise has been a little bit complicated, right? I have had a really, really hard time getting into the games, and I mean I have tried like 6 times. I really just have never been able to get into them. I don't actually think it's like the world or the story or anything like that. I think it's actually more CD Projekt Red's like gameplay. I don't enjoy how like Geralt moves and how he swings swords and stuff like that. But I do enjoy it with other games. For example, I've just been playing another playthrough of Cyberpunk, right? So anyway, all that aside, essentially what I'm saying is this is not a particular sword that I am like a huge fan of, right? Like I don't fanboy over this one in particular, but I have to admit that I am actually kind of really liking it as a functional sword. In the hand, it's actually really, really light and nimble, right? But it does come with actually a pretty nice scabbard, all things considered. There's not a whole bunch of bells and whistles, but it is tight, it is nice, it looks good, it's got good stitching on it, and it does obviously have that leather motif there. And it does fit quite well. A little snug, if anything, but it does fit quite good. I like how it actually feels, right, as a functional sword. I may not be the biggest fan of the design. Let me caveat that, right? Like I actually am super into the crossguard, right? I should mention that. If you look at Titan's Bane, the crossguard on Titan's Bane is heavily inspired by this design here. So I'm definitely a big fan of that, right? But it's not one of those swords that immediately grabs my attention where I'm like, no, I need this, right? But the thing is, as like a functional blade to actually use, this is fantastic. Let's go for a thrust. Oh, see, in the thrust, that was fantastic. Woo, that is sharp. And again, we've got the profile for it, so fantastic. That is very terry on that cut, as you can tell by me getting wet. So in the thrust, it definitely is quite good, right? I enjoy it. Feels good, feels sharp. feels clean. Oh. That actually cut very, very nice. If you're enjoying today's episode, you should really consider subscribing. And while you do that, we will wait and see how long it takes me to put this thing on. Have you subscribed yet? I mean, while you're there, you should also like the video. I hear that helps. So what are specifically the things that I do like about this sword? Well, in terms of the actual blade shape and geometry itself, I'm a big fan. We obviously have that fuller starting right down in the crossguard and going most of the way up the blade. This is obviously going to reduce some of the weight of the blade itself. But then of course, we have that profile taper, which means that obviously it's going to be very, very good for thrusting, while at the same time being quite light and nimble up near the tip. I really like that. It does have, it seems like a very, very slight distal taper. I might have to check the specifications because maybe it's just my eyes, maybe it's not, who knows, right? Then when it comes to the crossguard, it's essentially my favorite type of crossguard. And what is that? Well, it's a slightly sweeping up crossguard. Now, obviously, this is a little bit more than slightly sweeping up, but if we look at something like the Glamdring, if we look at something like the Aragorn Strider sword, they very gently sweep up. I'm a big fan of that. This one is a little bit more aggressive, so we're obviously not going to get as much coverage, but the trade-off you get with that is when you catch a blade, you are going to be forcing that blade right down in the strong of yours. So I really, really like it. And obviously it's like that lightning bolt kind of look. I'm super into it. That's why I put it on Titan's Bane in the first place. When it comes to the handling of the handle or the hilt, really, really comfortable. One hand, particularly nice. And then of course you have so much room to get that second hand on. And of course, because this pommel is finished really, really well, even though it has kind of like the casting details, there's no sharp edges or anything, so you can completely grasp the pommel if you want. That's what she said. So as I said, it might not be my favorite design aesthetically 100%, but in terms of functionality, raw functionality, super, super into it. So let's slash Tony's back a little bit, see if we can get through the gambeson. We'll do a couple of thrusts and then we will turn it around and we'll see if we can put this tip to good use and thrust through the mail. Because like I said, with the geometry on it, we have kind of a diamond cross section up towards the tip, which means a lot of structural rigidity, in theory. So is the Witcher Silver Sword actually good for hunting monsters? Well, the answer to this particular question is kind of yes and no, right? I think the first thing we need to ask, is a sword the best weapon to actually hunt monsters in general? But barring that conversation, is this particular blade something that you would actually take to hunt monsters with? Well, yes, I would say yes. The answer is yes. The reason why is because this is a very general purpose blade, meaning in pretty much every single situation and scenario, this one is going to serve you well. Now, I did mention a couple of times in today's episode, this is a very thrusting, it's a good thrusting blade, right? But this is by no means the best thrusting profile and geometry that you can get on a blade. But if you have a far more aggressive, thrusting blade, usually there is a trade-off, that being, things like structural rigidity, strength, it might bend, it might snap, it might break, etc., etc. This one here is a very robust tip, meaning if it can get through something like armor, it can also probably get through some monster hide as well. So generally speaking, yes, I think this is a perfectly acceptable choice for not only a regular sword, but also a monster hunting blade. I'll try a thrust. I'll hold it this way so you guys can hopefully see the blade a little bit better. Oh, that was nothing there at all. Absolutely awesome in the thrust. Yeah. A beast. Love it. Try a couple more slashes. Yeah, you take a nap, Tony. It's all good. That felt pretty bloody good in the hand. Even when I was hitting solid objects, Tony, felt great. Let's try the mail now. I'll see if I can hold it like this so you guys can see better.
right there. No, that went through a pre-existing bit of damage. That one got caught by the rings a little bit. That's interesting. And tip, let's have a look at the tip damage. Really no issue at all. Let's smash a little bit of wood with our Witcher blade very quickly. I don't expect this to, I mean, we've tested this spring steel a bunch and it is able to handle these tests like a monster. So, I mean, yeah. The handle feels awesome though, genuinely, and the blade itself feels really nice. So, no warping, no edge deformation, no problems at all. It is there. It has some pretty bloody nice flex on it, but that means that obviously when we're getting, to thrust through something mail or something hard like that, it is deflecting a little bit more than I personally would have wanted. But this is not like a super hyper flexible blade like the issue we had with the Anduril. This is not that at all. This is well within tolerance, really nice. I think I would have preferred, this is just a personal preference thing, right? Maybe a little bit more of a higher cross section on the diamond, just to make it a little bit more kind of stout, I guess is the way I would describe it. But that's just a me thing. But this is the flex that we get on the blade, and that's why we're having a little bit of trouble getting through the mail as easily as I would have liked, but definitely well within tolerance. Alrighty, let's get to the outro on this bad boy, because I think this is going to score really well, honestly. So I may not personally gravitate towards this particular design or aesthetic very heavily, right? But that doesn't mean I don't like it. I'm super into it, and everything on this blade is 100% functional. There's not something here where I'm like, nope, this is too fantasy, this is too bad. Everything here works. So I think with that being said, it is time to get into Tyrant's initial thoughts, score, or tits for short. Starting off with comfort. It was very comfortable. It handled exactly like a regular longsword, so I literally have no complaints about the comfort. In the hand, moving it around, 10 out of 10. It was really comfortable. The riser here has no sharp edges around it, so it didn't annoy my hand. The pommel, the transition to the pommel, fantastic. The crossguard has no sharp edges around it, so again, didn't annoy me. And even when it comes to thumbing the blade, no problems at all. So 10 out of 10. Then when we get up to design, look, I feel like we should cut to the chase here. 10 out of 10. Like, I have nothing wrong with the design. For everything in terms of its functionality, right, which is what we're talking about here, the design's perfect. It has a nice profile taper, makes it really good in the the thrust while also being able to cut. The crossguard again has quite an aggressive upsweep to it, but again, it allows you to catch those blades, funnel it into the strong. In terms of the handle shape design, all good. 10 out of 10. Okay. What is next? Wieldability. Well, I mean, the comfort, 10 out of 10. I mean, like, effectiveness. Okay, effectiveness. It was a little bit more flexible than I perhaps would want, just because I would like this to be able to get through mail a little bit easier, but it did get through the mail, especially when I half sorted it, right? So, 10 out of 10. Okay, look. Like I said, I'm not a huge Witcher fan or anything like that. I really had trouble getting into the games. I can't stress this enough. But in terms of the pure practicality of this particular blade and its design and this interpretation of it, meaning the one that I've got in my hands, it is a perfect score. It's a 40 out of 40. I don't really have anything here where I'm like, no, I need to mark this down. No, this is not good. In terms of a purely functional blade, just like the Glamdring, I got no complaints. So, yeah, okay, well, I think that summarizes most of my thoughts. If you want to pick one up, there'll be a link down below and in the pinned comment, and it does help out the channel. It's a little bit more pricey, I believe, than some of the other ones that we've had a look at, but I think that is reflected in a lot of the details and how the finishing is of the blade. Alrighty, I'm gonna head out of here because I'm done. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know your comments down below. And as always, I'll see you next week in another episode. Have a good one.